So the new chapter of Hunter x Hunter is finally here, and Togashi kind of outdid himself here because we finally get to see Hisoka. It's been a long time since we've seen the creepy murder magician on the screen and on our pages and in our faces, but he is finally here. But before we get into the video, if you do like it, make sure to like and subscribe as it does help me out. Now, let's get into it. I also just want to say how good it is to get 2 chapters of Hunter x Hunter in the same year. It is phenomenal. Back-to-back Hunter x Hunter chapters. I hope this stays the case forever, and I hope Togashi stays healthy enough to write this. The chapter continues where we left off in the last time, with the crowd panic over the fight that had just happened between Henry and Padale. Finally, I learned Henry's name. Shout out New World Order, because if he hadn't said that name actually in a video, I would have still to this day no idea how to pronounce that name. But the crowd is panicking about a load of gunshots going off here, and we actually see that Padale isn't actually dead. Rather, he is now standing next to Henry with a weird aura around him. We then get these panels here where these guards come over to speak to the two and ask them what's going on. And then one of the guards basically tries to bribe Henry here with information, and Henry offers 50 million for the information on the High Lee boss, which is insane. We then get a little bit of an insight into how smart Henry is. He might just not be your standard type of grunt here for these other families. He's actually quite intelligent, because you can see him negotiate with this military official to make sure that the information is correct and he's not just gonna be hung, drawn and quartered when he follows this dude here. I do like stuff like this because it does give the world of Hunter x Hunter a more grounded reality. A lot of other manga would have just simply posted Henry in this situation, and then Henry would have been like, okay, here's 50 million, and he would have just toddled off into the sunset with this guy. Not a single thought in the brain for it. Hunter x Hunter goes into depth with this kind of stuff, and that is what makes me such a massive fan about the series. Henry and the guards settle their deal, and then we get to see Henry and Padale basically walking away from each other at this point. And it's this point that we see that Padale survived through the ability of Misha Hao, a former GU member where her post-mortem Nen ability had activated, and it was known as Zombie Girl or La Vie en Rose, which I don't know what it translates to. The ability activated upon death of Misha, who is a cleaner, activates when a member of GU commits murder. It manipulates the corpse until it can be quietly disposed of and then disappears. And that's crazy unique ability, and again, we're getting to see Nen in this broader spectrum. We've been so used to seeing Nen basically just giving people weird superpowers that we don't sort of see and think of Nen being used in this type of way. Like, this is Nen being used by the mafia to get rid of bodies, to make people think that the bodies that have just died in front of them are still perfectly alive. Togashi's really kind of outdoing himself with this whole Nen thing, and even though it is a kind of complicated power system, it's still a really, really good and enjoyable power system. We then switch back to One Punch Girl and Creepy Blood Dude, who are asking around, still trying to find Hisoka. But I have to point out, these little blood creatures, I actually find them really cute. I'm aware they're made out of blood, and blood creeps me out, but these things are really cute. We see One Punch Girl punching random civilians trying to find who's Hisoka, and not getting any of the answers that they need until Hisoka actually just turns up. They literally turn around and Hisoka is just stood there in the crowd staring at them in the most Hisoka fashion possible. And I love the fact that this is just here and he's just chilling, staring them down. One Punch Girl then goes over to Hisoka and asks, "Are you Hisoka?" Hisoka's just like, "Who even are you?" She finally responds with her name, Lynch, although I'm still gonna keep calling her One Punch Girl. She then punches Hisoka in the stomach, and I want to point this out that Hisoka knocks her shit out so fast it's not even drawn in the panel. There is no motion in the panel with how fast this happens. He literally knocks it out almost instantaneously and then giggles it off, saying that that was a reflex. We then get this really tense altercation between Creepy Blood Dude and Hisoka here, where Hisoka's like, "What do you want?" Creepy Blood Dude is like, "We don't know the details yet, but the mafia is looking for you, and if you want to know more, you're welcome to come with us." And obviously Hisoka, being the absolute agent of chaos he is so down for this idea. I've had this theory for a while, but ever since Hisoka and Chrollo fought, obviously Chrollo killed Hisoka, and Hisoka brought him back by Nen that activated after his death. And often is the case that Nen that activates after death is often more powerful. Not all of the time, but sometimes. And I feel like with Hisoka, his Nen is now going to be even more powerful than when we last saw it against Chrollo. Swiftly moving on to the next panel, we then get to see our boy Sidonka, who was fanboying over the fan troop, trying to buy basically an autograph board. And we learn that there's more to the massive ship that these guys are on right now than meets the eye. There actually is a trade route basically going from the current world to the ship via drones, air blimps and stuff like that. And this old lady that he's speaking to can basically get him a lot of stuff right now. Booze, cigarettes, painkillers, ingredients, illegal drugs, addictive substances, all of that good stuff right there. So it's kind of interesting that we get a little bit more world building here, that they're not just on a ship. This is basically like a moving city with trade routes and import plans and basically dealers that you can buy stuff off, which is kind of wild, and I like how they're building this ship up to basically be like a mega city, basically. In the next panel, we see one of the mob bosses basically assessing the situation with the Phantom Troop, recognizing that the Phantom Troop are not ones to be trifled with, and they can't just be easily manipulated here. And he's also warning basically his underlings that Hisoka's like super dangerous, and he was a floor master at the Heavens Arena, and he tells them that if you find him, let me know and don't approach until I get there. Once Henry or I succeed in negotiating with Hisoka, we'll move to the next phase. We watch from afar as the troop and Hayley hack away at each other. So their plan is basically to set the Hayley and the troop against each other, and basically have Hisoka in there as almost as a wild card, you know what I mean? He's thinking to himself there, if Hisoka is capable of crushing the troop, it would be easier to just let them duke it out, but the clips of Heaven Arena, it looks like Hisoka enjoys creating unfavorable circumstances for himself on purpose, which is true. Again, this is just another example similar to Henry at the beginning of the chapter, where we get to see a character being an intellectual, basically, and not just running in there willy-nilly and getting everyone else killed. We then switch back to the Phantom Troop, who are just lounging around here, basically waiting for the search party to come back. We see one of the guards monitoring the CCTV here and saying nothing is unusual. I also want to pay special attention to the fisheye lens that is on the CCTV panel right here, and then you can also see the actual detail in the PC monitors. Shout out to Togashi for getting that correct, because that is, I really like that detail right there. We then see Nobunga saying to Things, we should split up and get Franklin and split into pairs. We could then take turns searching outside. Things says I think he'd refuse because he hates confined spaces. Nobunga then says, fine, I'll team with Franklin and you guys stay here. Phaeton then weighs in and says, it's true, the enemy's hard to come here if 3 of us are on alert, but there's no point if we run out of patience before them. Then switch to the next room there, where someone is apparently knocking on the door, and one of the guards says that the search party is back, and he says, hold on, I'm coming. And then the guy who was monitoring the CCTV comes running in, says, wait, the troop, they're coming, don't go there. He runs outside to warn them. He says, what a jerk, he could launch a sneak attack if he wanted to, he's just toying with us. And he says, look, over there, the search party's back, pointing to one of the monitors, and on the monitor we see them. They're going to the next room, only for the group who were about to answer the door have been taken, basically. They've just been yoinked out of thin air. We then find out that it's none other than Luini knocking on their door, basically, creating basically a zip in reality there and peering through the door at them. He's saying, it's not like you at all. You guys could wipe out a char, bust down that door and slaughter all of the loaded rotten scoundrels in the upper tiers, couldn't you? And you're behaving yourselves a bit too much. I'm kind of disappointed. And then Things then weighs in, he says, slaughter, that's stupid, this isn't the apocalypse. Phaeton saying, what do you know about us anyway? Luini then replying with, the wiki page says you're diabolical thieves, but I guess it was exaggerating. You want me to edit your entry for you? Nobunga then drawing his sword says, sure, go ahead, just say we show no mercy to dudes who tick us off. I also just want to point out here that Luini really doesn't know what he's getting into here. Like, just Phaeton alone can literally summon a sun, you know, just out of Nen. Like, this dude is super powerful, and that is just one of the Phantom Troop right there in that room. He is staring down 3 of these guys, and he is wanting to take on a full fight. And Luini has only had his Nen powers for a week or 2, if that. So in the next chapter of 393, this is going to blow up, and we're most likely going to see Hisoka get involved with these guys. Maybe? I'm theorizing here. Maybe they end up crossing paths here. It's definitely starting to get a lot more. You can see the talking is now sort of done and everyone is starting to go into fight mode, as it were. That's all from me. If you did like this review, make sure to like and subscribe, as it does help me out a lot. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Much love. Peace.